Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about Azure Key Vault. We will create Azure Key Vault and see how we can store the secrets, we can create the keys, and how we can store the certificates as well. Okay, so we will also see how we can create the access policies in Key Vault and how we can assign permission so that any service or any person or even user assigned identity or system assigned identity can access the key vault and other secret certificates as well as keys. Okay, so if you don't know about the key vault is a Microsoft service in Azure to store the secrets and manage certificates along with keys. Okay, if you read the documentation in Microsoft Azure, you can see something like this. Azure Key Vault is a cloud service for securely storing and accessing secrets. Okay, so basically we use Key Vault to store our secrets, store our keys, and store our certificates. And also you can share all the things based on the RBAC and access policy. So you can create the Key Vault. I mean, how you want to assign the permission. If you just want to do based on the RBAC, you'll have to select just the RBAC. Okay, so now let's go to Azure portal and see how we can create it. So if you search the key vault here in the top, you will see a service with name key vault. You'll have to open that and click on create. After you have done that, you will get a screen something like this. You will have to select your resource group. Okay, and you will have to enter your key vault name. This is already exist, so let me type a name something like this. So this is my key vault name. This is the region where I want to deploy my key vault, and here we can select the pricing tier as well. Okay, so you can select standard and premium based on your requirement. If you need more details, you can always go here and compare the features about them, like uh, what are the differences and what are the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so you can see the price difference as well along with other properties. Okay, now let's go to the portal again. We will create the standard. Here you will have to select the recovery option. So for key vault, that is automatically set to enabled. So whenever you delete a certificate, keys, or secret from your key vault, then generally it will be soft deleted. Soft deleted, that means it won't be deleted permanently, it will be stored for the retention days you have mentioned here, like 90 days. So till 90 days that will be stored and you can still restore it, and after 90 days that will be deleted automatically. Okay, you can select the purge protection. You can disable it or enable it. Okay, now click on next. Here you will have to provide the access configuration, like how you want some services or people to access your key vault. That you can select two types of permissions here. One is Azure rollback access control, that is recommended by Microsoft, but you can select the second as well. So here in the rollback access control, you won't have to create the access policies if you have assigned the role for some particular user or some particular service, they can directly get access to your key vault. But if you have selected vault access policy, you will have to create the access policy as well at key vault level. They directly cannot go and access the secrets or certificates if you just have given the RBAC permission. So we'll select the second one. I will show you how you can create the access policy as well later in the key vault. Here you can select other properties, like if you want to use this key vault for Azure virtual machine deployment, you can select this. If you want to use this key vault for Azure resource manager deployment, suppose you want to access some secrets or you want to create some secrets with Azure resource manager or bicep, you will have to select this. Otherwise, the Azure resource manager or bicep won't be able to retrieve or create the secrets. Okay, so let's select the second one as well. If you want to select the Azure disk encryption, you can select this as well if you have the requirement to enable it. Okay, here you will have to add the access policies, right? Like how I had said that if you select Azure rollback access control, you will not have to add access policies. See, now I'm not getting option to add access policies. And if you select the second one, you will have to add the access policies. Without these access policies, no one will be able to access it. Okay. So now if you want to create the access policy from here, click on create and you will get an option to create the access policies. If you want to select this third one as well, you can always go and select the third one. Okay. And for access policies, if you want to create it from here, you can create it, or also you can do this after creating the key vault. Okay, so suppose you want to add something after creating your key vault, you can do that as well. So if you click on create, here you will have to provide the permissions, like what permissions you want: get, list, update, create, import, delete, and all. This is for key, this is for secrets, and this is for certificate. Whatever permission you want, you can select, and that permission will be given to that principal ID, which will be selecting in the next portal, next tab. Okay, you can select a template as well from here, like what permission you want. So suppose you want someone to provide permission for key, secret, and certificate management, you can just select this, and the permission will be auto selected. Okay, so I will select the first one. Now click on next. Here you will have to specify the principal ID which you want to add here. Okay, so my ID is already added. Let me try adding another one, and I will just add it. So suppose if you want to add yours, you will have to type your name or email address here. Okay, after that it will come. Click on next. Click on next now and click on review plus create. So that application will be added here, and whenever this application wants to get or wants to fetch some secrets or certificates, this application will be able to fetch it if you have added that in access policies. If they are not added in access policies and you just have given the RBAC permission, they will not be able to access it. Okay, now let's go next, and here you can create two types of key vaults. One is publicly accessible and one is private. So if you want to enable public access, you can select it. Or if you want to disable it, you want your key vault to be accessible only inside your virtual network, you can disable it. Once you disable it, you'll get an option to create a private endpoint. Because if you have disabled it and if you have not created the private endpoint, this key vault will not be accessible even from your virtual network. Okay, so to access it from your virtual network, you will have to create the private endpoint. Okay, so to create the private endpoint, simply you can click on this plus icon, plus create a private endpoint, and select the resources like location, name, target resource, that is vault. You can select the virtual network and subnet as well, where your private network will be created. You can integrate the private DNS zone as well, and after that you can click on OK. Private endpoint will be created, private DNS zone will be created, and also the DNS entry. I have already made a video about private endpoint, how to create that. If you have not watched that, please go and watch it. So you will have an idea of what is private endpoint and how we can create it. Okay. Either you can go and search the private endpoint here. There also you can create it, and even from here you can create the private endpoint for key vault. Okay. So this is to access your key vault privately from your virtual network. And if you want your key vault to be public, check this box. Okay, even in public you get two type of options, like allow access from all networks or selected networks. So if you have selected all networks, it will be accessible from all networks from everywhere. But if you are selecting selected networks, you will have to either add your virtual network or you can add some IP addresses. Okay, so if you add your virtual network here, so suppose if you have added a virtual network and a subnet, then this will be accessible from that virtual network only. So suppose I am adding a virtual network here. You can add your existing one or you can create a new one. I don't have any, so just let me quickly type one. Okay, so suppose I have added this. Okay, so once this is created, your virtual network will come here, and uh, this key vault will be accessible only from that virtual network. Okay, again you can create the private endpoints as well if you want, even if you have selected networks and all networks, but mostly we use private endpoint if you are trying to access this key vault privately, and you have disabled the public access. So suppose I have added this, and we have added this subnet as well. So since we have added this virtual network, our key vault will be accessible from this virtual network and this subnet only. Okay, And if you want to create a private endpoint, then you can do that as well. So you might have some question like, what is the difference between this and private endpoint? And since you have selected network and you again we have added the virtual network and subnet here, and even if we create the private endpoint, this will again we will have to add the virtual network and subnet here as well. So what is the difference? So one difference is like, if you have added a virtual network here in selected networks, the traffic from this virtual network will go to this key vault via publicly. I mean, publicly it will send the traffic. But if you are creating private endpoint, all the traffic, incoming or outgoing traffic, will come and go privately with via this private endpoint. Okay, this is the difference. Now let me click, just let me select the all networks here and click on next. You can add the tags, you can now review and create as well. It will run the validation. If everything is okay, it will give an option to create the key vault. Okay, I think there is some issue. Okay, so this has now giving me option to create. If you want to automate it, you can view automation template and download it and deploy that from your pipeline or local to automate the things, like to automate the creation of key vault. So deployment is initializing. It will submit the deployment and it will also create a key vault as well. So once that is created, I will show you how you can add the secrets, how you can add the keys, and how you can import or even generate the certificates as well. Okay, how you can add the access policy as well. Once the key vault is created, I will show all. So let it complete. I think this will take few seconds. Okay, now the deployment is complete. Now we'll go to resource. Okay, so this is my key vault. This is my vault URL. You will have to use this vault URL, vault URI, to access the secrets or access the certificates, either from Azure CLI, from Bicep or Azure Resource Manager, or any other Azure service. Okay, here are all the details: directory name, SKU, soft delete, purge protection, etc. If you go to properties, you can see other properties as well. You can, in monitoring, you can see monitoring specific things. Okay, here by going to access control, you can provide the RBAC access to this key vault. If you have not created a key vault with access policies, if you just assign the permission here, they will be able to get your key vault access. They will be able to fetch your secrets and certificates as well. But since we have selected the second option with create the key vault with access policies, we are getting option to create or modify the access policy as well. Okay, so here are the access policies. One is for application, one is for user. If you want to add new access policies, you can always click on create and you can see the same screen which we are getting now, like how we are getting that while creating this key vault and access policy. You can select the template, you can select the principal, and you can create the access policy. Okay, if you expand the objects, here you'll get an option to create the keys. secrets and certificates. So suppose you want to create a key. You can either generate the key, you can import the key, or you can restore as well. So if you want to generate the key, just give the key name, select the key type, key size, activation, expiry date, enable or disable. If you want to provide tags, you can do that. Set key rotation policy. If you want to rotate this this key, you can select that as well. Okay, and you can click on create. So this key will be created. Okay, so like this you can create the keys, and if you have deleted the keys, you can go and click on manage deleted keys, and again you can restore that if you want till 90 days, since we have configured the retention policy for 90 days. Same is the case with secrets. You can generate or import a secret. So if you want to add a secrets, you can add name and provide the value as well. So suppose this can be your password, and you can create it. So this secret will be created. Okay, see, here is my secret. Same is the case with certificate as well. So suppose you have some certificate and you want to keep that in some secure place, you can uh, do that in the key vault. You can either generate or create the certificate. You can manage the deleted certificates as well, or you can restore that. So if you have the certificate, you can always go and import it. You can provide the certificate name, and you can upload your certificate file here, so that your certificate will be imported here. If you want to generate a new certificate, you can do that as well. You can provide the certificate name, you can provide the subject, okay, and you can provide DNS name as well for which you want to issue the certificate, and you can just select the signing authority as well. If you want self-signed certificate, you can select this, okay. And if you want with some extra, like for integrated CA, you can select, or for non-integrated CA, you can select this as well. Okay, so this is how you can create the certificate, and if you have existing certificate, you can import that as well. Okay, here in access configuration, you can change the configuration. If you want RBAC specific access, you can just select this, or you can select these options. And in networking, you can enable or disable the settings, or you can change settings related to networking. If you want allow public access, select the first. If you want the public access from a specific virtual network and IP address, you can select this as well. Okay, if you want to disable public access, then you will have to disable it. If you have disabled the public access, you will have to go here and create the private endpoint as well. Otherwise, this key vault will not be accessible from anywhere. If you have disabled the public access and you want to access this from your virtual network, you will have to create the private endpoint. Okay, you can see the properties from here. You can see monitoring specific things, like you can set up alerts, you can set up metrics, you can be logs, insights as well. And in automation, you can export the template. You can use this template to deploy a key vault from local or from pipelines. Okay, so that's it from this video. We have seen how we can set up the key vault. how we can create access policies, how we can create the keys, secrets, and certificates, how we can change the access configuration, how we can select the specific settings in networking, and how we can also set up the private endpoint. Okay, so that's it from this video. If you have some feedback or any suggestion, please let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.